Putin's war in Ukraine is now officially a disaster for Russia. On the 161st day of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Russian military is still looking for that elusive breakthrough in Donbass that looks more unlikely every day as Moscow moves forces to counter the ongoing Ukrainian counteroffensive towards Kherson in the south. Russian losses. The Russian military continues to suffer heavy casualties in Ukraine, and with inadequate reinforcements, Russian forces appear unlikely to be able to mount the kind of successful large-scale offensives needed to win a major conventional conflict. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense said that as of Wednesday, Ukrainian forces had killed an estimated 41,350 Russian troops, and wounded about 3 times as many, destroyed 223 fighter jets, attack and transport aircraft, 191 attack and transport helicopters, 1,774 tanks, 939 artillery pieces, 4,022 armored personnel carriers and infantry fighting vehicles, 259 multiple launch rocket systems, MLRS, 15 boats, 2,922 vehicles and fuel tanks, 118 anti-aircraft batteries, 740 tactical unmanned aerial vehicles, 83 special equipment platforms such as bridging vehicles, and 4 mobile Iskander ballistic missile complexes, as well as 180 cruise missiles shot down by Ukrainian air defense systems. Here I ran out of ammo. In its daily assessment of the war, the UK Department of Defense focused on the situation in Kherson, where the Ukrainian military is creating conditions for the return of the city. Over the past 3 weeks or so, the Ukrainian military has used long-range fire, primarily the high-mobility artillery rocket system, HIMARS, and the M270 multiple launch rocket system, MLRS, to capture Russian ammunition depots, logistics hubs, command and control posts, and supply and communication lines in anticipation of an attack on Kherson. The latest victim of Ukrainian long-range shelling was a Russian trainload of ammunition heading for Kherson. Along with the train, Ukrainian long-range shelling destroyed the railroad that links Kherson with Crimea. As a result of Ukraine's strike on a Russian ammunition train in the Kherson region, in southern Ukraine, it is highly unlikely that the rail link connecting Kherson with Crimea remains operational, British military intelligence assessed. Russian troops will likely repair the railway line within a few days, although it will remain vulnerable to Russian troops and their logistics route from Crimea to Kherson, the UK Ministry of Defense said. Russia has promoted the ferry service, recently built to replace the damaged Antonovsky Bridge across the Dnieper River in Kherson, as for civilian use, but the Russian armed forces will almost certainly use it for troop and logistics transport, the UK Department of Defense added. It is likely that we will see an increase in the number of civilians trying to flee Kherson and the surrounding area as the fighting continues and food shortages worsen. This will create pressure on transport hubs and routes, which will likely lead to the introduction of movement control measures, British military intelligence estimated. Global food insecurity from Moscow with love. Earlier this week, Ukraine's first grain cargo ship left Odessa, Ukraine's third largest city and largest port. We obviously welcome this important step, and we hope that more ships will leave in the coming days to go to world markets with agricultural products such as grain, wheat, sunflower oil, and corn. There was something like 26,000 tons of corn on the ship that left today, said National Security Council Strategic Communications Coordinator John Kirby at a press briefing earlier this week. More than 400 million people around the world depend on Ukrainian agricultural products, and the Russian invasion and subsequent blockade of Ukrainian ports have caused global food shortages and threatened many countries, especially in the Middle East and Africa, with severe food shortages or even famine. However, it remains to be seen whether Moscow will honor its end of the deal and allow more Ukrainian cargo ships to leave the Black Sea. Russia has, of course, weaponized food supplies and has effectively blockaded Ukrainian ports since the start of this crisis. And we call on Russia to fulfill its obligations under this new agreement, including by facilitating the unhindered export of agricultural products from Black Sea ports, in order to ease food insecurity around the world. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that, Kirby added.